Hello, I'm Laura Penn, and welcome to Green Views, a talk show about green issues and green solutions, in partnership with Dukascopy TV. The more businesses around the world focus on sustainability, the more they realize that some of their greatest challenges and opportunities lie within greening their supply chains. Here to talk to us about responsible sourcing of raw materials for these supply chains is Bastien Sachet. He is a director at the Forest Trust, or TFT. Bastien Sachet, welcome to Green Views.
Thanks, Laura.
What exactly does the Forest Trust do?
So the Forest Trust is an international non-profit, and we help companies be a positive force for change. We help them find out where their raw materials come from, how they are being produced, and change the way they're being produced so that they become more respectful of the environment and of people.
What exactly is responsible sourcing?
Okay, so talking about responsible sourcing, I like to first look at what sourcing is. Sourcing is about buying a raw material, and as a buyer you will assess the quality and you will assess the price. This is what buyers have traditionally made for years. Responsible sourcing means introducing a new variable of respect for the environment, respect for people, when you are doing your purchase, when you're assessing who you're going to buy from. So responsible sourcing is about understanding how the quality of the raw material you buy is about, environmental aspects, social aspect, and making decisions according to that. So it means that maybe the supplier you would have bought from because he had a good price and he had a good logistics is not going to be the one you're going to buy when you look at him under the responsible sourcing angle. Okay, interesting.
And what are some challenges faced within responsible sourcing? Because I can imagine it's not a direct line.
Yes. One of the biggest challenges is the lack of information. When you're a buyer sitting behind a desk and purchasing palm oil, cocoa, you don't know who's manufactured or who's produced this cocoa or this palm oil. All you know is the agent or the trader who's selling it to you. And he's giving you a price, he's giving you a quality, but he's not giving you much more information. So how are you going to be able to evaluate whether this palm oil or this cocoa has been produced in respect of environment and people? You don't know. And there are probably many suppliers upstream that you would need to know of to be able to judge. So the disconnect between the buyer and the field is the first biggest issue. Mm-hmm. The second one, once you know, is how do you make sure and how do you help the supplier change and transform so that it becomes truly responsible the way this palm oil or cocoa are produced.
Okay. And can you give me an example of the Forest Trust's work in practice?
So in practice, what we do with companies is we engage and start a discussion about what they want in their product.
So what the companies want.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And they don't always know, but they have values in the companies that are more or less clear about, what they would like in their product. So when we met with Nestle initially, we told them, do you want deforestation in your product? And they said, of course not. So they started to write it into a policy. And this is the first thing we do with companies. We help them write a policy with their values. Once we have this policy, we can, together with the buyers, go in the field to meet and engage with the suppliers. This engagement phase, which is about building trust, not auditing, is very important. It is that phase that will allow to understand better the supply chain, understand where it comes from. Does it come from Indonesia? Does it come from Africa? Who are the suppliers who are producing the raw materials we're looking at? We will see the reality. We dive deep into the factories in India, into the field and the plantations in Indonesia. So you see what happens. And that's a transparency phase. It's one of the most important ones because you need trust to be able to do that. And we do it with field teams all across the globe, going up and up the supply chain.
Okay.
Once we know that, then we transform. Then we work and we innovate together with the suppliers to find out, okay, how are we going to do a responsible cocoa production? What does that mean? And together with the suppliers, together with the producers, the farmers, the planters, we innovate and we work together to find, those solutions that can then be, the application of the company's policy initially. So that's how it works. It's a bit of a virtuous circle of improving quality.
Okay. How is what the Forest Trust does different from certification schemes like those used for other raw materials like cocoa or timber?
I would say there are two major differences. The first one is about how it deals with innovation. Certification schemes come with guidelines, almost like rails, on which they want to put companies on. So the companies that have to apply those schemes are not very free to innovate. With TFT, when companies have set their own policies, which are mostly value-based, there is no rule on how it needs to be implemented. So it's up to the companies and its suppliers to innovate, to find out the way forward. There is no limit to what can be achieved. So when you say, okay, I want to achieve no deforestation, there is no certification schemes for that. But it's just an open avenue for everyone to participate and to innovate. The second element is ownership. And ownership is very important in a change process. If you have to apply a certification scheme's guidelines or criteria, you're not free and you don't really own that. It belongs to the certification scheme who has produced it for you and you need to apply it. You're passive. If you have written down your own policy with your own pen and your own words, in your own language sometimes when you talk about countries abroad, you own that policy. Therefore, you are involved, you are present, and you want to implement it. It makes a big difference. Your whole organization, even if you're a small supplier, you're all in there to make it happen. It's not like it's a constraint that you have to do, you're forced. You do it because you want to do it.
Does this work? Is this method effective? What are the results?
Yes, it is. What we've seen in the palm oil industry, for example, over the last 5 years, has been initiated by a tiny move from Nestlé, who started to write its own policy.
So Nestlé is one of the companies you
Nestlé is one of the companies,
others.
And we work with many other businesses. It's a good example because they started in 2010 in the palm oil, trying to sort out the problems they had with palm. And they were a member of the certification schemes, and suddenly they said, okay, we want no deforestation. By saying that and writing it and engaging in a work together with us in, discovering the supply chain, they found out who is supplying them. They've embarked them on the journey with them. Today we have more than 96% of the palm oil industry that is covered by no deforestation commitments. So they've all one by one made similar commitments. They're all embarked on that journey, and the bulldozers are being stopped as we speak. So as we speak, in Indonesia, in Africa, machines that were previously cutting forests are being stopped to plan better their development. We think it's a success. Does it mean everything is solved? No. There's still a lot of challenge and a lot of innovation to come up. We're at the start of the change. We believe that it is an effective way to move forward.
Bastien Sachet, thank you for these valuable insights.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. This is Laura Penn with Green Views, a talk show about green issues and green solutions, in partnership with Dukascopy TV. Until next time.